welcome back. We are ready to have another chat about the latest episode. This one being episode 712, Carnal Knowledge. And it was a doozy and an interesting one. And we have some mixed opinions about how well it was done compared to the book, because a lot of things done were taken directly from the book. And not everybody was happy with everything. So let's check out what Jan, Kathy, and Jackie have to say about this episode. And I occasionally say something, but apparently I was echoing. So we'll see what happens. We are here.
Okay.
I'm
We'll
here
start at the
chatting with
beginning.
Jan, Kathy, and Jackie about episode 7. I'm sorry, season 7, episode 12. Carnal knowledge, not camel knowledge. They lied to us, and we thought it was going to be all about camels, but no, it's carnal knowledge. Still a funny typo to me.
That's
So
funny.
nothing happened in this episode worth talking about. Did you guys want to exchange Christmas recipes instead, or
Oh my goodness, there is so much to unpack. It's not even funny.
Oh my God, yeah, it
So
really
much
is.
to unpack.
Yeah,
where should we start at the beginning and then we'll see where we go?
Let's do it.
yeah,
Beginning's
Okay,
yeah,
good.
so Jamie kidnaps John, which I think is a fun way to start the show. Him
yeah.
Great.
dragging Lord John down the streets. If anybody tells you, tell him I took you by force. Well, what do you think happened? No, he didn't invite him for a stroll.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought that was a good ending. Ending, yes. Good ending to last week and a continuation this week.
Yeah, I thought this episode was really good, though.
It was really good. It's amazing because the whole script was almost taken straight from the book. I mean, I don't know who's book readers here. I know I am. Okay, and Kathy is a book reader. Katie, have you read the books?
I read the books one time through.
Okay, one time through. Jan, have you read the books?
Yes, I've read the
Okay.
book.
I mean, some of it especially in the very beginning, because I have it running, so I'm kind of watching what they're doing, and that whole, I mean, really, they almost took from word for word from the book.
Yeah, the
Pretty much.
dialogue.
The dialogue was almost word for word from the book. Just maybe different area. They didn't do it in the same spot. I mean, I get that part.
Right.
Um,
That's a
so I
lot
thought
of
it was
yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
up
That
until
was
the end.
yeah.
Then they just wrecked it. But we'll get there. We'll just
We
start
will
from the
get to
beginning.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Dave, I have to say, yeah, Lord John, he took the whole show, this whole episode. He was amazing.
Oh,
It
see, and I
cracked
thought
me.
Charles or William for
Did
sure.
you? Yeah.
Yeah,
David, he was hilarious. I mean, I thought it was they did a lot of humor in it, which it was in the book. And some of that was, very grave, Eric, what he said. And I mean, it was good. He did an amazing job on this episode, I think. He really did. He brought his A game to this episode.
Well, yeah, and it seemed like it was really so out of character for him, right? To
Yeah.
kind of be the way he was because he's just so, I don't know.
Aristocratic and so
Yeah, right.
forward and it was just so out of his whole, and that's what made it funny.
Right,
And
right.
people who didn't read the books really didn't understand some
Yeah.
of the nuances of why he was doing what he was doing, and
Right.
you get that from the book. And that's the hard part about the show, is that if you're just strictly a show watcher, some of it didn't make a little sense maybe.
Right.
But if you read the book, you get the background on why he did what he did, and that's what kind of. And I was only a show watcher up to season 5, and so I thought this was great. This is awesome,
Mhm.
And then when I went through the books, I'm like, wow, they really missed this and left that
Right.
out. And that would have made sense to me if they would have said something else
Yeah.
about it. A voiceover maybe telling them what they were thinking about would have been great, but you
Right.
can't voice over everything, I suppose.
You know what I really loved? I mean, I have two scenes that I really, really liked. And if we're talking about in the beginning, I really thought that the dialogue between Jamie and Lord John, when he has his back turned and Lord John, yells, "I had carnal knowledge with your wife."
It's
And
hilarious.
he's like looking at his horse, and
Just
he has
hilarious.
the funniest. Jamie, Sam just
Like, really? What?
I know. Like, he didn't quite believe
on
him.
his face.
Yeah.
And at the end of whatever he's saying there, he says, "And she let you."
Yeah,
I think
right.
that is
Right. Yeah,
the
that was,
funniest
yeah.
part.
That's what
something
he's
God,
saying right here on the
yes.
stage, on the show right here. I just thought that whole face of his when he shut his eyes and kind of pursed his lip,
Yeah.
like he was trying
Yes.
to, how am I going to do this? It was
I
hilarious. I
gotta
mean,
say it. It's like
David Barry
pulling off a
was,
band-aid. Do
yep,
it fast.
ripping off a band-aid. He was perfect. He couldn't have done it any better. It was amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
and it was coming because he's like, "What's the matter, John? You look kind of pale."
Kind of fatal. Oh my God, it was great.
Him like reaching out and smacking him on the shoulder, that is probably not something that they told him to do. That is just the natural acting that Sam has in him, because that just put like a little extra oomph on that, whatever he said, you're looking a little
Oh,
pale.
looking a little pale and kind of taps him a little bit. Yeah. You look a
He's
little
like
pale there,
waiting for him to
John.
get
Are you
punched in
okay?
the face, and he hadn't said anything yet. And then he get punched in
Yeah,
the face, so that worked out.
Right.
it was
But then
great.
I think once Jamie punched John, I feel like he was truly afraid of him, and I think he's always been a little kind of skeptical. Like, okay, at any time he could probably take me out, and then he punches him, and then I think he was like, okay, here it is,
Here it
all this
is.
pent up anger over the years, and
Well,
you know,
he knew the minute he told him he was going to do that. I mean, he knew
yeah,
that. What did he think he was going to do? He's Jamie Fraser.
right,
Yeah.
He knows that he's volatile. He even said that, yeah, I'm a violent man, and he would kill anyone for his family or hurt someone for any. And you're talking about Claire. Oh no, you don't want to do that
yeah,
because he will kill anyone for Claire.
right,
So he knew, and I think
And then I loved what when John was on the ground and the guy that I can't remember what the character's name is, but he was going to take John back to Richardson,
mhm,
to have to interview him,
yep.
and he goes something about I can't remember what it was, something about yeah, and I did it, and I'm not.
He goes, I'm not
I'm
bloody
not
sorry.
sorry.
Bloody sorry
I'm
over his
not bloody
shoulder.
sorry.
Sorry.
And I am not bloody sorry!
And he kind of did it like a smirk. I'm not
Mhm.
sorry at all.
Right,
Like, oh, David Barry was awesome. He was brilliant. That whole
It
scene with
evolved
him was
into like an
brilliant.
elementary school argument. I'm not
I know, right?
sorry.
But I'm not sorry. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah,
The only thing that you kind of miss from that whole little section of that episode, I mean, like you said, as a book reader, they give you the dialogue that he's thinking about why he did that, and they don't give you that in the story. That the minute he said we weren't, screwing each other, we were doing whatever
Mhm.
you brought
Yeah.
back all of the BJ stuff, and that's why he did that. He just popped off, and they don't give you that background on the show why he did that, or why he asked Claire a weird question about certain things.
Mhm.
Because of that, it brought that whole thing about what happened in the very first season with him. So I just think that's kind of interesting, and people were asking about that in the group that I was in. Well, why did he do that? Well, you don't get it because did you read it? That's
Yeah.
Well, even if you don't, you'd be like, you could see why he'd be a little offended
We'll be a
about it.
little upset. Yeah, just sad.
Although, twice during this episode, I was like, is he upset that he wasn't invited to a threesome? Because if they were both and he wasn't there, is he like,
He's
did
like,
I
I
miss a
was
good
not
time?
invited. I wasn't invited. I was not invited. I just think
But
that's funny because I remember the first season. I don't know, it was whoever. I think it was BJ, and then some other guy kept asking, "Do you want to watch?" He's like, "Maybe he just wanted to watch this time, and he wasn't asked." Hey,
Rose.
so bad. That was just
oh dear, oh
hilarious.
dear.
Love that scene. It was fantastic. They did it marvelously.
And they said the F word. I'm not shocked by using the F word. My sons use it all
No,
the time. But
Nope.
I don't think Jamie ever used the F word before
No,
this.
once he did it in the first season.
Yeah.
no,
Once in the first season, yeah.
Well,
Between
because he
him and
wanted to know
Claire,
what it meant, though.
he wanted to know what it
Yeah,
meant because she
Yeah.
called him that.
What does fuck mean?
Yeah, and she called him that, so he's asked her what that word meant, and he said the
Mhm.
word. Yeah, that was the only other time he's ever said it, from what I
Right.
remember.
Yeah. I had to look up a couple words that were said this week too.
Really?
Yeah. Did you have to look them up too,
I didn't
Katie?
have to look anything up, but I've had a
Yeah, I didn't have to
No.
look
previous
anything
life,
up.
so
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it begins with a
read too
B.
much.
I don't know if I can say the word. We might get dinged because it's not a nice word. It begins with a B.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I knew
think.
what it meant.
Yeah, I
Because
already
we're
knew that what that
American,
meant.
I
Good
think we
word.
can get away with it.
He says bit of a bugger.
I'm pretty sure we can say it because
Hmm.
we're American and it's not
Because it
naughty
means
for
something
us.
different here than it does there.
Right.
Because it's kind of bad. It's not a nice word.
No, it's
Like
not
a
a
Well,
polite,
yeah.
like,
it's not a
no.
gentlemanly type
No.
of thing to be discussing or a ladylike thing to be talking about. Nope.
No.
No, but
But I
yeah.
had to look it up because I didn't know what it was.
If you're
Outlander,
English and you
here to
watch a lot of
expand our
English shows and English
vocabularies.
movies, it's
Yeah.
quite frequently used.
True, we don't tie ourselves in knots over a discreet bit of buggery.
Yeah, it's more of a European word, and it means something different there than it does here.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's
No,
not
I
nice.
think it means the same thing.
Yeah, going on force.
Bugger off!
Well, I guess I
Well,
never
but
heard
we
anyone
I
use it
looked it
here,
up.
so I
feel
don't
like
know.
we're
Yeah.
all right. When we say it though, we usually mean that we are effed, but like things are bad, we're messed
Hmm.
up, things are not going well.
Soon you won't be able to swallow, and then you'll be totally buggered.
Hmm.
That's not what it means if you're in the
That's
UK
not what
and
it
you
means
say it.
there.
It's
No.
a whole
Mm-mm.
different
No.
situation.
A whole different
Right.
situation, yeah.
It's no use. It's bugger.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I was like, I had never heard that word before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Um,
Learn
it's
something
it's
new
a
every
word.
day. There you go.
Yep.
I
Yep.
watch too much British TV and watched and
Yeah.
read too many
I do
books that
too.
are suggested by British friends or did used to read a lot. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then I read online that a lot of people didn't know what that meant. And I was like, man, I'm a
Yeah, I heard that
Yeah.
too.
pervert. I no, I knew exactly what it was.
I knew exactly what that meant.
Yep.
Well, and they explain that word in season 1 too.
I
They
don't remember
do.
that.
They
They
do
do.
because he
Well,
mentions that in
he
season
says
1
his
too.
dad wouldn't be mad about the
Mad.
I thought being buggered would be less painful.
Yep, and
B
that was all
wording.
about the BJ. So they already
Hmm.
kind of explain what that meant in season 1.
Okay,
Hmm.
well, I guess I was asleep during season 1. I
You
don't
weren't
remember
listening
that.
to the dialogue, honey. You were
The
going,
dialogue.
I
Sam.
know.
He's
He's
too
a
I
cute
know.
for
sweet
Sam.
kitty.
I know.
Well,
I was
especially
more
season 1
interested
Sam.
in
I get
looking
it.
at Sam.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Should we move along from the B word and go to the
Yeah.
other B word?
Yeah.
So William's having a fun
Yeah.
time today. Uh,
Yeah.
Yes. Mm,
let's see, between
William.
the destruction of the house, and I feel so
Yeah.
bad for Mrs. Figg's got to try to find a mirror when there's no craftsman around. Um,
Yeah.
You know what was funny about that whole scene too? Because he he kicks over the table and smashes that one vase as he's going down the stairs, right? And then there's another little vase in the corner, and he walks right by that and smashes something else. I said, why didn't he just do that one too? I mean, the little detail. I'm sorry. I just think that's. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, I did.
we'll have to
I'm
see
like, why
that
did he
question
smash
for
that one on the way
Charles
down
because
too?
he was told to just go crazy. That was up to Charles. That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with direction. You'll have to ask
Yeah, I'm
Charles.
like, why did he do that too?
Hmm.
On the way down, it was right
And
there.
hey, Jackie. Hey,
Yeah.
Jackie. I think that vase matched the other vase, so he should have smashed it.
Right?
You
It was
know?
the exact same base in each corner. Why did you not just do that one too and just really
That's
have a fun
right.
time doing it?
He just wasn't thinking.
That was funny. I just noticed that. I just
Jan's
thought that was kind of funny.
Jan's worried about the continuity. Jackie's is
Yeah.
if you're gonna break one,
Right.
break them
Break
all.
all. Right?
That's right. You
Exactly.
might as
If
well
you're gonna
break them
throw a
Well, he
both.
hissy
took out a
fit,
chandelier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you're gonna throw a hissy fit, do a good one, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I
He did
think,
an awesome job.
I
Charles
think
did
one
an
of the
awesome
things
job on
that
that too.
I think one of the things that I learned about him, about William this week, was he's a little immature.
Yeah. I was gonna.
You
Yeah.
know, he
I
Does
was
he
gonna
have a
comes
bring
right
that
off.
up
not to be
too.
mad though? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I
Does he
think he
not have
comes
a right
off.
to be mad?
Oh
No, he
yeah, no,
wasn't.
he
He
definitely
Yeah.
does.
he. I'm not saying he didn't have the right to be mad, but I think he come. We're seeing a really like throwing a temper tantrum kind of thing.
Absolutely.
This isn't just there's another temper tantrum that he throws
Oh yeah.
with his
Oh yeah. We
dad
have
later
not yet
on that
begun.
scene. Yeah,
Mhm.
in that scene. So I just thought it was interesting.
Now, how
Well,
is
yeah,
he
it's
supposed to
funny
be
that
in
you
this show?
say that because I think he kind of is too. In fact, I was just rewatching everything again, and last night it had
Mm-hmm.
the episode where he meets Brianna for the first time,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then I'm like, he's been handed everything pretty much to him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't really know the ways of the world quite yet. You know what I
No.
mean?
Mm-mm.
Right.
So
But do
yeah, I
you
think
really at
there's
20?
still
Isn't he
immaturity
supposed
level
to be like
there.
20? How old is he? I don't even know how old he is at this point.
Yeah, I think 20 is about right.
20 about, do you know
Yeah.
anything at 20? Of course
Yeah,
not.
because we're in the episode
I'm
where he
telling
meets
you what.
Brianna, he was 18, so I think he is
I'm
probably
telling you
about
what.
20.
If
20? Yeah.
my son was 20 years old and he acted like that, he
Well,
would.
yeah.
That would be the last time he ever acted like that. Believe me,
Yeah.
my boy
Amen,
behaved
sister.
that
Mine
well.
wouldn't either.
You
Yeah.
know.
But,
So
he's not an
I just.
aristocrat and I haven't lied to him his whole life either. I mean,
Yeah. But
Well,
I just.
no.
I just think.
yeah,
I think there's some immaturity there because again, like Kathy said, I think he's been given so much in life that, something bad happens like this and
yeah.
he's going to show, his immaturity. It's just a comment. I don't mean for us to have that much to say about it, but it's just a comment.
No,
Well,
yeah,
no,
but yeah, I kind of
I
thought the
agree.
same thing a little bit.
I
He's
think
throwing
that
a hissy fit, yeah.
it's not. I agree with everything you're saying. He's entitled. He's never had to work a day in his life. He's given
Right.
everything. He is
Yeah.
who he is because of who his father is. His whole
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
personality is based
Mm-hmm.
on the fact that he's uh, Lord Ellesmere. Now he
Right.
Right.
finds out
Mhm.
he's not.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that I like the entire foundation of who he
Who
is
he is.
was yanked out of him. He
Yep.
can't
Mhm.
stand without that foundation, and so he is just
Right.
Yeah.
toppling over on top of
Because he
everybody.
doesn't know who he is now.
Yeah,
Right.
Really.
And
He's like,
again, I'm just saying that because the scene that we haven't talked about is kind of like he kind of shows his butt, when he's
well,
talking.
we see his
yeah.
butt too. Yes, that is another scene though.
I
I
know.
think
He's cute. He's cute.
You can see his butt.
Well, and he's only been ever pointed in one direction. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been pointed to that there's
Mm-mm.
more, or, to have his horizons broadened. I don't know how to explain it really. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like
Well,
he's
I
only
think
been pointed in this one direction.
right. I remember what was it? A couple episodes prior to this where he was, he idolized what war was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be romance. He didn't realize that what war really was until he went there. Because, like you guys said, he'd been given everything. Well, he learned that quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
Sure
think he
did.
Learned that quick.
he was a little naive,
A little
maybe.
naive about what it looked like or what it was
Yeah,
really about
His
yeah,
until he
best
got
friend
into it.
his
And
best
now he's
friend
going to learn
got
about
shot.
this, and he's going to have to
right.
learn
Now
it
it's totally
again
different.
about what it's about to be
right.
someone that you thought you were, and now you're not. And so he's going to
Yeah.
learn that too.
Yep, yep,
Got
yep.
a lot to learn, William.
He has a rampage and then he runs into Ian, and for a minute there I thought he's not going to hold it against Ian. Okay, it's not
Mm,
like it's up
Yeah.
to Ian to tell him the secret. But he
Hmm.
didn't
no, it
hold it
wasn't.
against him right up until Rachel shared the good news.
Good news.
Yeah.
Then he got a little pissed. Yeah,
Yeah.
He did. He seemed a bit irritated,
irritated
slightly
about that.
miffed.
Yeah, true.
And that's like when Claire said, "Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the
Far from the
tree." He
tree.
clearly has Jamie's temper.
Temper. He's got Fraser temper. I love the whole open card thing. Did you see the little tree and the apple? That I thought, oh, that's cute.
Yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The very beginning. Yeah, it's cute.
And then I liked what I was going to say something too, that he went straight from congratulations to punch him to I'm
Right.
so sorry. Then Ian attacks him, and then he turns to Rachel and says, "Well, I didn't do anything to provoke him." And she's like, "Well, yeah, yes, they
Yeah,
did.
you did.
You
Yeah,
idiot.
you did.
Did he forget the first part? I know
I
you
know,
Yeah.
right? What was that about? That was a little odd. Was that a little odd to you, or was that just odd to me?
Yes.
It's like, yeah, you threw the first punch. What are you talking about?
Yeah, really.
I didn't get that
I
part.
don't know.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they got away with that. Quite frankly, that kind of
Yeah.
I
irritated me.
loved I
Yeah.
loved Izzy's her little speech she gave him about when she slaps him and she
Hmm.
says, in her Quaker, speech
Yep.
that, he forced her not only to go against her faith, but, and her love for Ian and what I can't remember what else, but that was really, it was quick and you had to really listen to her.
I
That
think he
was,
called it her provocation.
yeah.
Right.
Now thee has doomed thy kinsman, repudiated thy father, and caused me to betray my principles. What next?
Well, yeah,
Going
boy,
against her
does
own
she have a little bit of
principles.
fire.
Her own
Yeah.
principles.
Oh
Yeah.
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 You're right.
She'd have to
Principles.
have a little fire to be with Ian. I mean, she just have
True.
to.
True
Yeah.
that.
Right? Yeah. I
Of
mean,
course. Yeah.
he thinks she's this holier than thou little person, and boy, she came right at him.
She
I'm
Yeah.
like,
did.
good for
She gave
you.
it to him. Good for her.
You
Sticking up
said
for her man.
you said, Katie, that you really liked her. You met her.
Oh yeah, she was. You know what? She complimented my tattoo, so I really like her because I think she has great taste. But yeah, she was really sweet and really nice. All of them were. There were. I couldn't say who was the one that was rude. Nobody. Everybody was super nice.
She
Good.
But
looks
yeah, she
very
was.
tiny.
She. They're all thinner than I am. That's all I can tell you.
But I mean, tiny, like small, short, tiny.
I'm 5'4", so she
Oh.
seems pretty average to me.
Okay. Well, yeah.
She
Looks
seems
cute. She's
tall
pretty.
to
She's a
me.
pretty little thing.
Yeah, she's very sweet, very pretty. Nobody was like fancied up. You could just tell they're just naturally adorable. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
they were really great all around.
That's cool.
Although I will say
Cool.
personality wise, Paul was probably my favorite one, just because I wasn't expecting him to be so cheery, and I also his accent's a little different than everybody else's, so he kind of
Mm,
stands out at the same time too. I adored
okay.
Paul though. Anyway,
Fun.
I'm getting off track. Sorry, I gotta sit here and talk about how cute everybody is. Let's see here. And so, oh gosh, does anybody have anything else like the chat before I start twisting us around into the chat?
I think the episode, the segment where Jamie finds William on the road and he grabs him and he pulls him over to the tree
Right.
and they're having a discussion.
Right.
And I said, to myself, I thought, if that isn't a father son discussion, I don't know what is. That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Lots of passion. I love the dialogue. I thought it seemed very real.
Yep.
Hmm.
True. I agree. They did a good job there.
Yeah.
William being upset and why are you here? I mean, it was just really good. It was good.
Hmm.
And Jamie
Yeah.
goes, you know what? We can probably have a different father and son session later, but this is all about Ian, and you need to do this right now,
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
going to do this, right? kind
Yeah.
of thing.
See, that's why I think William, once he settles himself down a bit, it'll be all right because inside he's still the gentleman who was like, fine, yeah, Ian is innocent. I will go fix this, even though
I'll go fix it.
Dad made me do it. I think he would have
Right.
come to that
Dad made me
conclusion.
do
Yeah.
it.
Dad made
Yeah.
me do it. That's
Dad
what I'm
made me
saying.
do it. Yeah.
He's just, he's acting just a little bit immature. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Just my
Acting on
opinion.
feelings. He's all up in
I
his
think
feels.
I think
That's
we're
right.
all moms. We're allowed to have opinions about misbehaving young men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't tolerate that. But I'm not in the 1700s, I suppose, and I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's different back then. I don't know.
I would never. My son's a police
Yeah.
officer now, and he's a
Could
police
be, I don't
officer
know.
because he's always been a good kid. I was blessed, but then I
Yeah.
have three
Me
daughters
too.
who have challenged me at every moment, so it's all right.
I
Yeah.
don't doubt it, but yeah, if my boys, I mean, I'm not a very good disciplinarian. My husband's a lot better at it, but I know if my boys got out of line like that, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, the hell you think you are?" No, I don't think so.
Oh, my
I've never
son
really
Brandon
had
would never even think about doing that because he knows
no.
ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
see, I had the
Yeah.
mom look. I'm sure we all have it. Where
Yep.
you
Yeah.
can look at him and you put him in the ground just by the look.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I have that, and he knows it, and he's been knowing that since birth. He would never
Right.
do anything like that.
Yeah.
That's all you need, really. I mean, a lot of
All
times
you
that
need
really
is the
is
mom
all
look.
you need.
Yeah, see, Jamie doesn't have the mom look, so hey, that's why he doesn't do it.
Oh no,
That's
but I
why
think
he
his
uses
look
his
is
fist.
his look is
Exactly.
fierce enough.
God doesn't have the mom look. Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting too because Jamie now is in his middle 50s, isn't it? Isn't he supposed to be in his middle 50s?
Yep.
I think he's
I
even
think
in his
probably
late
close to
50s by now,
60.
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with
and
Middle?
okay. And he's not who he used to be, but he still has that fire in him
Right.
because he really meant it. He's like, you go do what you're supposed to do. Take
Right.
care of this now.
Take care of this now.
Do I have your word?
But he does have a little bit more control over it right now because when Lord John says, "I've had carnal knowledge of your wife," he didn't turn around and slapped him, punch him in the face.
Mhm.
He was like, "Oh, really? Why?
Why?
Let's discuss
That's
this
correct.
issue first.
I just love the
Then
way
I'll
he said, he
break
goes,
your eyeball."
you ask why? It was just hilarious. I just love that. You ask why?
I think
Right.
he was more prepared for a punch to the face right then than he was when
Than
he
that,
actually
you're
got
right.
punched
Yeah.
in the face.
I think so too. That's why he's like, you ask why? Yeah.
Luckily, the punch to the face results in Dr. Hunter being on the show for like
No,
2
we got to
seconds.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see Dr. Hunter.
Yeah,
He's so
that's a
cute.
little different than from the book, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
wish
mind.
they'd
I mean,
had
I'm just
more.
wondering, are they going to bring in his love interest at all, or are they just going to totally leave that whole section out? I wonder.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I don't
sure
know.
they're gonna because of
Are they?
something Joey Phillips said in an
Okay.
interview that I saw. So it
Because
might not.
she was there at this point already, and
You're
she was the
right,
one that
Judy.
actually
He
helped
did
him.
say something in that interview. He did say
Really?
something like, "Oh, our particular love interest." So
Okay, so
I
I wonder when
remember
they're
he
going to
said
do
that.
her.
So
Because really, in the book, she's already in there.
Yeah,
So I'm
she
just
well, I
wondering,
think
is.
they might be
yeah, because
waiting
she's the
because
one that
so
helps
much is
John Gray
happening.
actually get out. So I'm just wondering when they're going to bring her into the story.
They're gonna insert her later.
Insert her
Yeah,
later. Okay.
I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. Is she's gonna be like,
Okay.
"Oh, and we met so and so on the way to here," and be like, "Oh,
Oh,
okie dokie
okay.
then."
I was just wondering because that is totally different too. And I mean, and I noticed are they gonna? I thought they had the same actor as John Gray's brother. Did they say something about that he was going to be in it too?
Hell?
No.
I don't recall that specifically. No, yes.
Okay. I was just
Harold is supposed to be. I want to
I
say
can't
that
remember
he's
if Hell's
supposed to
gonna
be
come
it, but
back
I
in or
don't
not.
know
because
for
really
sure.
in the book he's supposed to be already in this part too,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
haven't brought him back in yet either. And I'm just
They
wondering,
keep
are they just leaving that
mentioning
whole section out,
people.
or
Mm-hmm.
You know,
because I
Yeah.
can't really mention
See,
that he's going to be in there.
they've I think Jackie, they left out, and bear with me because sometimes you're better remembering than I am, but that whole thing about the brother, they think he's dead, and he goes and tries to find the grave and all of that. I
Yeah,
think
that's
they
all.
left
I
all of
yeah
that
yeah they
out.
left all that out.
And
Correct.
so
Correct.
that because of that, it leaves so much of his brother, what his brother would bring
To
to
the
the
story.
show. So
That makes sense.
maybe that's why he's not in
In the
this
yeah,
so
that
far.
makes sense. Yeah, and they left a lot of stuff out that
Yeah,
happens to Jamie,
they
which
did.
really wasn't relevant to the story. I mean, I didn't think it was really relevant to the story, so I was okay with them leaving him with that one woman and on the kids. I'm like, it didn't make the story roll any different. You know what I mean?
Right.
To leave that out. And I love Diana Gabaldon. She writes amazing books, but sometimes she can get a little wordy.
Yeah, definitely.
And certain things you're like, did we really need to, 100 pages of that? No, not really.
Yeah.
I was kind of glad they left all that out because it really wasn't relevant to the story.
well, and I think the
Yeah, almost like
writers for the show, they're gonna try to um, help bring the stories along for the characters we're most invested in at this point.
Correct.
And as great as
Right.
Denny is, he's not a main character. What makes
Correct.
Rachel more important is because Ian
Because of
is.
Ian.
And so
Right. Right.
we're going to
Right.
probably see Denny's love interest, but it's not going to be as drawn out. I'm still
No.
upset that they didn't go to the meeting house. We didn't get to see them go to the meeting house
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's one of the few things in the book that I really remember. And I was like, oh boy, we're gonna see. No, we didn't see them. They just were like turned away.
Didn't see that. Nope.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that was one of the things that they talked about in that group I was talking about, how everything, like we talked about, I think you guys talked about it last week, how things were condensed and kind of rushed, and it feels that way a little bit. But they didn't know they were getting a season 8, and they're trying to
Right.
cram all the major deals into all these episodes that they had, and that's why that a lot of the stuff didn't get the breadth that it should have, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that, as a book reader, you kind of miss the breadth part of it. And part of this episode was some of that, I think, and it just made me sad.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and especially because the part where Jamie does arrive, and he comes in and he's supposed to, go to Ferguson Marsley's
All of that,
place and
yeah,
yeah, all that, yeah, because
yeah.
that's
Well,
kind
and
of
I
when we
think
didn't
a
hear
lot of
about
that
that
happened
yet.
because
So
the two actors weren't there and had
yeah,
other projects and couldn't be in that season even, and they took
right,
all of that out. I mean, the reason why she came back to there wasn't for Lord John, it was for Marsley, but those actors couldn't be in the series
right,
for this
right,
season, so they had to undo all of that
yeah,
Yeah. We
and
didn't even
still
get.
make it work.
I was looking forward to Ginny in America, and
Yeah, and that
not
made me
yes,
happening.
yeah.
sad that they recast that whole Jenny thing and made such an uproar about the whole Jenny thing, and then they didn't even use her for the rest of the season. I mean, I was just like,
Yeah. I
kind of
was
like, wow,
looking.
that just kind of made me. I was surprised at that. I was.
Oh, do we know if she's gonna come
Yeah.
back
Do we
later in the season?
absolutely know that they?
Well, she
That,
came
yeah, I don't
back
know.
with Jamie in the book, and I don't know
In the
why
book,
they
she
would have
did.
an extra ship coming later with her. I mean,
Right, with her?
I
Well,
suppose.
Why?
I'm just, just like what Kathy interjected too. I don't know. Did they say that Jenny didn't come back, or do we know that?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. Has anyone heard anything if they were going to actually insert her later? But
Mm-mm.
I
yeah,
have
because in the
not.
book
No.
she's there. She comes with Jamie. The whole thing happens with Jamie, and her and Claire's relationship is really wonderful in the book
Mm-hmm.
during that whole part of it. And that's kind of sad that they didn't do any of that because it was wonderful in the book. It was so
She
well
comes later,
written.
and maybe she comes in season 8.
Yeah, maybe you never
It's
know. I don't know.
possible.
Yeah.
Could be possible. They're just putting her in a different spot. Maybe could be.
Possibly. I don't know. I just really expected her to be
I
there.
did
There,
too.
I thought so
Yeah.
too. I really was. That just kind of blew me away that she wasn't. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Were
really?
you guys
Oh,
were you guys happy with when Jamie comes back to talk to Claire after all of
mm.
this?
Oh, don't
He's
even
not
get me
being
started,
taken off
girlfriend.
the screen.
I could talk a whole hour about how disappointing that all was.
I
But that's
was
just me.
We
not
don't have
happy.
an hour, but you go for it. Say what you need to say
Katie,
so
I'm
that we can.
sorry.
I'll cut you off at a certain point, but go for it.
Oh, are we there now? Are we at that point? Or are
No, no,
you
no, not
directing us
even.
to
We
keep
still
talking
got
about?
like 20 minutes. Go. I say we don't have
Okay.
an
Well, wait, we
hour.
skipped the part before he goes back to see Claire. Isn't that the part where William goes back to meet
Oh, I'm
Arabella?
sorry. I'm
Goes
sorry.
We can.
William goes back to where?
To the
If you
brothel
want
to
to
meet
talk, we don't need to
Arabella?
Oh,
go in
Jane.
order. What
They
did you
did
want?
Jane. Yeah, he does finally meet Jane.
Hmm.
Well, we
So I'm
meet Jane,
assuming
and we see
somewhere
what she
along the
thinks.
way the sister comes into this because that's his whole story, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
maybe next episode or episode after that, sister comes to play. I'm thinking maybe.
if they continue with that part, and it's
Right,
just not a one-off, so he can have a
right,
one-off. That's terrible. But if they continue that story, that's another, I think, thing that might help him heal if they allow that part of the story to go because
to go.
he does a good thing. That helps
Yeah,
him find who he is again.
and
So,
it brings him and Jamie together for a purpose, which
mm-hmm.
I love that. I hope they really play that out. I really do. Hope they play that
Yeah.
part out because that's kind of when they start doing that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see.
I enjoyed the meeting of Jane though, of how it was. He was terrible to her, and then
Hmm.
wanted to make up to her
Right,
being terrible to her, and
right.
because he was nice to her, she gave him a gift, but it wasn't. I felt kind of bad for him. I mean, yeah, he got lucky, but I feel bad for him because that last little thing of he was going to keep his word. It was the last gentlemanly thing I think he thought he had control over, and well, that
Right.
wasn't that control. Um,
Yeah, I don't want
so
that control. Yeah.
I feel bad for him at that point, even though he's
Yeah.
had been a kind of a jerk and been in a pissy mood the whole time.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad from there. And she, in her on her only way, kind of healed him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gave him solace for a brief moment. Maybe.
Today, I'm sorry, Jackie. I didn't mean to. Today I was watching a video, and it was an interview with William, and he was talking about this scene.
Okay, Charles.
And how he said that he hoped that he was kind of afraid for his grandmother to see
To see it.
this scene.
Oh, I
Because
thought they did it. Yeah.
he was gonna like press the forward and go, oh, there's a commercial, Grandma. Let's get this commercial.
That's funny. Well, I guess he said that's his first intimate scene in Outlander, right?
That's
I
his
think
first, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
his first. That's his first intimate scene in Outlander. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And he said it was different. You know, it's having all your friends watch it. I'm like, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
So uncomfortable.
But I thought they did it really well.
They did it really well. Yeah.
For the two of them, I thought they did it really well.
Absolutely. I agree.
I saw somebody was talking on Reddit, and they thought she looked a little bit like Bree. The
She
girl
has
that's
curly hair.
playing.
That's about where it stops.
I guess. I
I
don't
don't
know.
really see that.
I didn't look at her that closely. I was looking at him, more than her.
I don't think I see
I'm
that.
shocked.
Yeah. I love that French part of him, because he's French Canadian, I think, not just Canadian, because he's got that jet black hair, He's just such a cute kid.
Oh, you mean Charles? Yeah, he is. He's pretty.
Yeah, he is.
I watched him in another series quite a while ago, and I didn't even really realize it was his. But I'm like, oh, he was in that? Okay.
Well, Katie can
thought my
prove that
daughter would-
he's very good looking.
He is.
I thought my
Cute.
daughter would be really excited to know that I met the pirate from Paw Patrol. And no, she's 9 now. She's like, I don't care, Mom. I don't remember who that is even. I'm like, are you kidding? She would have gone crazy 5 years ago.
I've got a granddaughter that's totally into Paw Patrol right now. She's like crazy about it. But anyway, I thought that was a really good scene, and he is such a darling kid.
Mm-hmm. He was in.
Grandma, I wouldn't have minded.
You know what's funny? I guess they all kind of talk about how their mom or whoever is, when they're doing these intimates. I mean, even Sam has talked about that,
Yeah.
about how weird that is when your mom's watching you and you're, showing your rear end on screen. But
Well,
that's
no, but
the
he
job you
actually
chose,
had
honey.
my place where
It's
she
like, what
was
do you
in the
do?
front row, and he had to do an intimate scene.
Yeah.
Right. So
I love what Dougal says. I can't think of his real name. Dougal's real name.
Graham.
Graham
He
McTavish.
says I watched them on Men in Kilts, and he was talking about. He goes, I think we've seen enough of Sam's butt in 3 years.
Is it ever enough?
I don't want to see it anymore.
I don't know if it's ever enough.
No.
Maybe for Graham. Okay. I'll give it to Graham. Maybe Graham.
I mean, we ought to have enough Outlander that we can just sort of watch it. Just push pause. I don't know.
Yeah. There you go. Well, we'll be seeing a little bit of him after Outlander. I'm all ready for it. I'm ready for it. Yeah. I think Katie knows what I'm talking about.
You're waiting for Couple Next Door.
Yes, ma'am. I've seen it, and it's awesome.
Yes.
Can't wait,
Certain
girlfriend.
parts of it, anyway.
I'm a little twisted, so I love the whole thing. It was great.
Okay,
I haven't seen it yet. I'm still
I
waiting.
say it was well acted, well put together. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Teen Time.
Okay, so we move on to the last part.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've sort of jumped around, so I'm not positive if we've actually cut everything. But I know I know y'all have some opinions about that last.
See, don't even get me started.
There.
Oh, don't get me started.
I was not happy with the end.
Not at all.
And I heard Sam talk about it, and he said, they had this large amount of dialogue they had to do, and how people said that Claire did such a great job and everything. And I was like, I don't think it was very realistic. First of all, him coming in and being composed like that, and I just don't think the dialogue worked, and it just didn't seem. And him taking her on the table,
Nope. Mm-mm.
that just
Mm-mm.
seemed
Nope.
very.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm the first one that says I love the love scenes. Of Outlander.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was. It felt staged,
Yep.
Yeah.
and the dialogue again, when
Yep.
all of that happened, I
Mm-mm.
did not like it.
Didn't
And
like it at all.
no.
And a lot of it for me was because and it's funny because I was doing the audiobook like yesterday, and that part was the part I was listening to. And really, it's almost like the reckoning. That was their reckoning of what all the stuff that they had been through over this last month or two. He was gone. She thought he was dead. He missed her for how long? And in the book, Diana wrote such a beautiful love scene between the two, getting back
Yeah.
together, angry, love, all that together, like we saw in The Reckoning. That episode in The Reckoning should have been the
Right.
same one as they did here, and it was written that way. And they
Mhm.
chose not to do it.
Yeah.
They did
The
everything
best
perfect the
scene
rest of this whole episode, and then they
the
dropped the ball
dialogue.
on that? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a book reader, I was very disappointed because
Yeah.
they did nothing like what it was in the screen on the book. The dialogue was actually written strictly from the book. Everything that they said was extractly from the book.
But the way they
But the
did it was
scene was
totally different.
totally different. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally different. And that was
I
a
just think
disappointment, I
that
think,
it was
for book
it
readers.
seemed very like they were reading off the page.
Exactly. That's
Like
kind of
of
how
a
I felt
book.
about it too.
They were not, the emotion that
It
they
wasn't
should
there.
have had
Yeah, it
was
wasn't there.
not there.
Wasn't there. And these two actors can do the emotion more than anybody we know.
Yeah.
We've seen it through this
Mhm.
last 7 seasons or 11 years. Sam and Katrina are extraordinary, and I'm just surprised that they didn't let them do that. Was it
Yeah.
their choice? I mean, they are executive producers. I was wondering if they were just like, okay, I'm kind of done with these love scenes. Can we just do it like this? Because
Yeah.
do they have the choice now since they are executive producers to do that? I'm
Yeah.
thinking they do. Maybe they
I mean,
didn't want to do it that way anymore. I don't know. I just think that
that
was kind of
scene.
sad.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Go
That
ahead.
as far as I'm
scene.
like that, just go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Katie.
Well, I was just gonna say, as far as I'm not like really fighting, like throwing and yelling and stuff, they might have just figured they've had enough of that this episode between William punching Ian, Jamie punching John, and William having a tornado fit in the house. They might have just thought we have met our quota of things being thrown, punches
But
and
even in the
stuff.
book, it really wasn't a fight. I mean,
No.
it was in the garden. They were really having a discussion and emotional about all the stuff that happened with John and it just did not flow at all in
Well, it would
John's
have been
house.
better in the shed.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would just have been a whole. I know, right? I wanted the shed, girl. Kathy, I wanted the shed.
I did like, all right, and this makes no sense, but I didn't like that they were like, oh, the staff isn't here. We can, basically we can do what they
It
want.
was
And then
just
I'm like,
terrible. I'm
there's
sorry.
windows right there. Anybody could walk by and see. That's not private to me, but I'm not a showboat person, so maybe they should have gone in the shed.
I don't know. Well, and it was really supposed to be skin on skin. I mean, it was the whole. I mean, we've
Yeah.
all. I don't know if we've got. I just got that in my brain because I just got done reading that whole section, and I'm like, oh, this just was not what I was expecting they would do. I mean, I was just so looking forward to that whole rejoining and all of that whole getting all that out and the whole thing because I love
Yeah.
Katrina and Sam when they do that. They are masters at that, and they just didn't even
Mhm.
do it anything. They didn't even do anything. I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
that's fair.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I
hopefully
mean?
Also,
They're
there'll be
masters
more
at
down
that.
the road here.
very
Masters at that.
disappointed.
But maybe the people who aren't book readers were okay with that because they don't know what they missed.
Mhm.
As a book reader, I
Well,
know
now
what
they
we
do.
missed.
You ruined it for
Yeah.
Do
everybody.
they? You think they do?
Well, and I
They
wonder
would
if the
know,
thought
right?
process wasn't
Well,
that,
no.
because Sam was so jealous of them being up in the bedroom that they did it in the bedroom that, he took it away from there. And it's just like, okay, well, anywhere but there, since they weren't going to be in the shed. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I thought. Like,
What did you think about it, Kathy?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was as heartfelt as it could have been for sure.
Not
I
anywhere
mean, because
near.
they do play out their love scenes even in their older age. It's like, okay, whoa.
And that was
Yeah.
one of the questions in one of the things I was looking at today in one of the book couple club things that they made a comment about that, because a lot of people, well, when you're older, your sex drive, the whole thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, but let's talk about. We're talking about Jamie and Claire. It
Right.
ain't gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
It's not, and in the
Yeah.
books, it isn't. It doesn't at
They're
all.
very
So why
spicy.
would they even bring that up? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
I just think when we're talking about their relationship is passionate.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Passionate. They fight
there
passionate and they love
her
passionate. Absolutely.
slapping him was really the only passion that I saw
Yeah.
in them in the whole, discussion that they had.
Right.
Yeah, she looked like she was mad, but Jamie just didn't like Sam didn't look like he was like even into that whole last
Mhm.
scene. He was just out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt it was sad. I was just it was they had such an awesome episode.
Could have been
The
better.
rest of the episode was right on
Sex
point.
could have been better.
And then they blew it on the last part of the last 5 minutes. I'm like, are you gotta be kidding
Yeah.
me? Wow. But we move on, we go to the next episode and we're all good. Because I love Outlander. And I could see after a while, I've been thinking about these two, thinking, oh God, we gotta do this again. Because they're probably reading these books going, really? Again?
Yeah.
I could just see Sam and Katrina going, really? Again? Every episode again? Yep,
Maybe they had to
again.
keep all their clothes on because it was cold that day in the studio.
I
And they were
know.
like, you know
They
what?
didn't even let them take a clothes, nothing. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That was just so not it.
I missed
I
my
wouldn't have minded seeing a
kneecaps.
little backside.
Not it. Just disappointing. I was disappointed. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That whole
A little
scene.
backside wouldn't have been bad.
I think the only thing that we've missed is that John was being held captive
That was
and thought
good
he
too.
wasn't going to get hung, and then then Dr. Hunter finds
Hunter
out he's going to get hung
get hung.
and
Yep.
gives him the tiniest knife ever.
I know, right? What he says about that in that
Trying
episode
to
was
cut a
hilarious because
gun.
he talks about, whoever did this to you did a great job, and he goes, I wish your wife was here, and he goes, she's not my wife. Jamie's not. The look on his face and the smile, I was rolling. It was just such a
Yeah.
weird smile.
Right.
It was. I mean, David Barry did such a good. He just had me rolling in that scene. I'm like, oh my God, the smile, like a cat ate a canary smile. Like it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
totally.
very Charles episode, but David Barry was great.
He
It
was
Yeah.
had
great.
Yeah.
it was the faces
I
he had
would
to make this
Yep,
episode that
Yeah.
were
perfect. They
Mhm.
were just perfect. He was perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting hearing all of us and our opinions. This was really John Barry and Williams
Charles
show.
episode. Totally, it
Mhm.
was. It was. I
You
agree.
know?
They took the whole episode. David Barry, totally. It was a David Barry
Yeah.
episode to me. That's who
Yeah.
shined in this episode more than anybody else. Well, of course, Charles did too. And it was those two episodes. I agree.
And just to go back to William really quick, I thought, him and Claire, I mean, they played that part out really well too. I thought, it was really a kind of touching moment between the two of them, and then he
Yes.
just got frustrated. It's like, look, Claire's trying to explain some of this stuff to you. It's like, you need to listen.
Yeah.
And, it's like he didn't want to hear it, but I thought that was, a touching moment because I felt like he probably trusted her opinion a little bit at that
Yeah.
moment. So,
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
like that. I
It
like
was
that
interesting
scene.
at the beginning. He goes, I don't know what to call you. I guess I didn't understand that part of it.
well
well,
because
in the book,
he would
yeah.
be Lord John's son and
Right.
Lord John's new wife, so stepmom. But he's
Step.
technically Jamie's son, so still stepmom because
Right. But
she.
here's what I guess I was wondering, because she really during this whole thing, he never really calls her anything but Claire. So, what was he talking about? I guess I didn't
Yeah.
understand
Well,
that.
in the book, he calls her Mother
Mother Claire,
Claire.
but that they
So,
never brought that into that. Him
no,
calling her Mother Claire. And
right.
I think that's the question he asked her. It was because in the book, that's what he was asking her, what should I call you now? Because
Yeah,
Mhm.
if
you're
he
right.
calls her Mother Claire, in the story, he only calls her Claire. So I'm
Right.
like, what was the point of
Yeah.
that question?
And
Yeah,
maybe
I
it'll
think he was.
happen down the road, once he's a little bit more comfortable with her, you know what I mean?
Okay, I was just curious because
Yeah.
No,
that was kind of an
I think
out
from
question that didn't make sense to me in that dialogue that they
Yeah.
gave them.
well, from the TV point of view, he's still trying to figure who he is at all. So what does he
Right,
call this woman
woman.
who's
Right.
been in his life a lot, just with no
Yeah,
designation?
Right.
So
right.
So maybe
True.
it'll
maybe
come
this is like
later.
the one thing he might be able to clarify,
Right.
That's true.
but I don't know.
Cool.
So yeah. So the rest of the episode pretty darn good, but we all agree that that last scene could have been better.
Terrible.
It didn't
Yeah,
Oh,
it could have
go.
way
been better.
better. Way better.
Could have been more backside on Jamie's
I
part.
think,
Yeah,
Jan,
way
I get
better.
it. You're just upset that Sam didn't take his clothes off at all for the
I
entire
am.
episode.
Me too. Hey,
Jack, you too.
I'm with Jan on this bit.
Totally.
Found me
I
out.
am so with Jan on this bit. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yep.
I mean, Charles
Hey,
Butt's
Right there
nice,
with
but
you.
really, we want Sam.
I,
Yes.
I'm with you, Jan.
Yep.
Yep,
Same.
We
I'm with you, Jan, on that. I agree.
maybe for the last time.
Well, and I'm just wondering if we're actually going to get another passionate love scene between these two before the series ends. I just was wondering because if not, that should have been the one right there, and they missed it.
Yeah,
Seriously.
It should have
yeah, that's
been, you
tough.
know what, Becky and
Yeah.
Kathy? I think it should have been just very much like the one, when she just came back from the 1900s, and they're on the floor and they're getting mad at each other, and she's punching him and kicking
Oh, are you talking about First Wife?
yeah, and
I love that episode. It's great.
he's
Yeah.
like they're like down on the floor.
And I love
It
that
should
episode.
have been
That's a good
something
episode.
like that kind of passion.
Passion. There
Yeah,
was nothing. Yeah, it was, after she thought he was dead, what
Yeah,
would you do with your husband if you thought he was dead and all of a sudden he walked?
Yeah.
Come on. It just wasn't
yeah,
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah. It
well, I
just
guess I
wasn't.
got to start sleeping on my side of the bed again. All right. So what do we score this out of our what are we talking in 1 to 5, 1 being I had to watch it because it's Outlander, 5 being I watched it 7 times. I'm gonna watch it 7 more before the next one starts. So
I
what are we
mean,
doing?
I would still say it's a 5. I mean, I've already watched it like 6 times, so I
I'd say
mean,
this
Yeah,
is a
you're
4 for me.
yeah.
4.5 kilts. I give it 4.5 kilts.
Yeah, I give
They
it.
dropped it on the last episode. That last part just kind of ruined it for me.
Oh, I
that's
mean, I
fair.
still enjoyed it.
4.5
And
kilts.
and
That's it.
Jan, what are you thinking?
I give it 4.5 kilts. Also,
It's
Got
just
it.
that last scene just didn't
Just
quite
didn't.
didn't
Nope.
quite do it.
That's like being a gymnast and you do the whole routine beautifully and then you screw the landing. That's it.
Yeah,
That's kind of how I feel
that's
they did it.
I
They did
guess
everything
that's a
perfect,
good.
did all their flips and did all of that. It was wonderful, and then they screwed the landing. And so you're out of the Olympics. Sorry.
Well, looks like we gotta go.
Gotta go.
oh,
Better
well, I
practice
would
and
you.
try again later.
Hold on. I want to thank you, ladies, again so much for joining me. I do get a kick out of this.
Thanks for having
I'll
us.
just sit here quietly and let you guys gab on, but I think that we would be talking about one scene the whole time. So I
Until
apologize for
next time.
interrupting you. We'll see you next time, and yeah, thanks, guys. I will hopefully see you
Thanks,
again.
guys.
See you guys.
All right, that is the official Katie's Corner in Space review and chat. Really good episode, but dropped the ball on that last scene. Well, or several scenes put together there, as as Lord John makes his escape. It's always tough to see how things are going to come out on screen compared to what they do in the book, and we don't always know why they do the changes, make the changes that they make. Is it production? Is there, they have a only so many booties per episode. What's the deal? So maybe not the best version of the story so far, but still a really great episode. It was really interesting to watch how people's stories progressed, how William reacted to everything, and I believe Charles described it as a tornado. And yeah, he was a tornado causing destruction everywhere he went, basically for the whole episode. It was really good though. I enjoyed it, except for that last scene. It's still, yeah, there was something was still missing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chat. If you did, give the video a like and check out the next one next week. Don't forget that you are always welcome to join us. All you need to do is send me an email at katie@katiescornerinspace.com, and I will try to fill up spaces with newcomers before the people who have been on before has signed up. But other than that, it's first come, first serve. And I'm not sure. I have to double check and see who's already filled out for next week. But there's almost always spaces coming on, and the story is not going to settle down before the end of the season. So if you'd like to join us, send me an email, subscribe if you haven't already, and you want to watch more videos about Outlander and occasionally Star Trek when I get back to it. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. And if you didn't get enough Outlander information, you can always check out the Waiting for Outlander Season 7 Part 2 playlist. Yes, it is still building from stuff I am doing now. When we wait for Season 8, you get a different playlist. Although all of these chats have a playlist of their own, so if you'd just like to see how we've been handling this season so far, you can always check it out from episode 7, 9, and see, well, what we thought of that, and 10, and 11, and then you can rewatch 13. But no matter what video you choose, I will see you there. Let's see, words we have to try not to say or I will get dinged. We cannot say the word. No words. We can say born out of wedlock. We can say his personal circumstances, but we cannot say
Okay.
I would hold off on the whore as well, but I don't think anybody here would be calling anybody out.
Yeah.
They throw it around a lot in this show, and I just like cringe every
Yeah,
time.
they do.
So,
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
but
You
yeah,
can't
those are.
say the F word, can you?
I mean, you can, but I'll ding it. I can if it
Okay.
slips in, I can ding that. I don't want to have to every time. I mean, the
Yeah,
whole episode is about him not having the parents he thought
I
he
know.
had, and I thought
Right.
I don't think we would say it, but it became so natural
Yeah,
in the
I
show.
think
I'm like,
that's
I don't
right.
want to. I don't want to have
Yeah,
to ding it.
I understand.